get started, we're going to kind of continue, do a little review of our graphing lines, see how far we can get in inequalities, but we do have a little bit of time here because I'm going to see y'all twice this week and I don't get to see B-Day that many times, but just reminder, if you are retesting anything from Unit 3, what we took last week, what we went over, it's all in Hack. There were 3 different topics. Remember, I passed out the little cards. If you need that card or you lost that card, you need to ask me. So up here is your retest information, and I also put this on the calendar. So if you are planning to do that, you need to go to that reteach tutorial at 12:15 in D203 tomorrow. That's the only time that they're doing the reteach tutorial. So if that doesn't work for you, you got to communicate with me, and pretty much tomorrow morning is the only other time that I can do that with you. And then the retest will be either Thursday morning or Thursday power lunch, and all that's on Canvas. Wednesday, let's talk about Wednesday real quick, just in case this is your first one of these and you haven't done this before. So Wednesday morning, first and second period, our sophomores and juniors are taking the PSAT, and y'all get to have the morning off. So you don't show up till school. I want to say it's like 12:45. They are going to allow you in to the school, but that is kind of like the middle of power lunch. But you will go to your, and they're going to count it as an A-day. So you're going to go, when you get here, and the power lunch bell dismisses, you're going to go to your 3A, and then you're going to go to your 4A. What's kind of crazy is that Thursday is another A-day. So you'll do those 3A, 4A classes back to back. Does that make sense?
So we have 8 days.
Well, tomorrow is a B day, but then it's mostly A days. But it's not first period A. So I won't see y'all on Wednesday because y'all are gonna be sleeping in, and I'm gonna be sitting here proctoring the PSAT. So that is how. But basically, that means there's like no power lunch tutorials. There's no morning tutorials on Wednesday because of that weird situation. So we are kind of in a time crunch with the retest. So please, please, please do your best to prioritize. If you are retesting, prioritize this class and attend those tutorials. And if you can't, you just got to communicate. If you are retesting, just real quick, and then I'll be done talking about that, all the information is linked up there. You need to bring your ticket with you to the reteach, and you will check off those last 2, or 4 and 5, the reteach practice and the test analysis. Those will get checked off in tutorials tomorrow. Things you can do on your own. You already have number 1 done, so I can sign that off. 2 and 3, those go together. Watch a YouTube video. Are you listening? Are you listening? Looking? Watch a YouTube video and then fill out a quick little, like the video's like 5 minutes. The formative is like 5 questions. So for each one you plan to retest, you need to do YouTube, formative, show up. Here's the intercepts, YouTube, formative, show up, real world. That's stuff that you need to do on your own, okay? So you need to do those on your own. You need to do those on your own. Anyone else? And then the reteach and test analysis is checked off during the tutorial, okay? So it's not as crazy as it looks. And then you show up for the actual retest. Yeah? Got it? Yes.
Quick question for Wednesday, because we're not used to it as a freshman.
Uh-huh. It is kind of a weird week, but we do have a long weekend, which is exciting. Y'all excited?
No.
You're not excited for a long weekend? I'm excited for a long weekend. And yeah, we're just going to kind of keeping on through Unit 4. So I don't know that we're going to get to this exit ticket today, but I got it on there. I do kind of want to go back and review a little bit about graphing lines and then get into inequalities. So you guys should have a ruler. You should have a formula chart. So I think there's no page numbers on here. So find this. It's like the 3rd or 4th page. Find this equation in your notes. Like right there. Okay? I think at this point, I had you guys pick to do like 1 graph and then 1 right. And there was some tables on there and stuff. So if you did not finish those, I want you to kind of practice like those real quick. If you are not done with your Delta Math, the 4.1 section, we can work on that. And then we're going to we're going to stop at this page, which is kind of a summary page. And we're going to put it all together. So let's just take like 10 minutes and kind of work through the graphing and writing in the notes packets. You should have done 1 of each. So fill out the other one. Delta math, we need to be at 35%. We'll just take like 10 minutes to get caught up. So that way you can kind of just check and see. Again, at the top of every single page, we are repeating to write. Can you close your computer, Ethan? That m equals our slope. That b equals our y-intercept. Those are what we have to know. If we're graphing lines, if we're graphing inequalities, which is what we're going to kind of get into today, like you have to know those things. So on these problems, they took those little m and b blanks away, but I wrote them in. I always, when I'm graphing a line, like that is what I need. So I take that information out of my equation, and that's what helps me do my graph from there. Okay, so if it's not there, go to the side and write it in. So here are the two graphs that I had you do based off of these two problems. They were both in slope-intercept form, because remember, what is f of x and g of x? That's the same thing as what? Y. So you had your y equals there. You always start at that b value, that y-intercept, and then your slope tells you how you move on the y, move on the x, and you just continue to follow that pattern. On this one, our slope was -2. I did that thing where I wrote it as a fraction, because this is like a time where I want to know a fraction, so I can know how I'm moving on the y, how I'm moving on the x. Change in y, change in x, change in y, change in x. And then little details like this slope is negative, so my line should be decreasing. This slope is positive, so my line should be going up. As far as the table goes, you may have different points than me, and that's okay. You get to choose. I would choose whole numbers. There are a lot of fractions in this one. You can do fractions if you want, but I try to make life easier. But you put your equation in y equals and press second graph. That's a big thing. Big thing there. And then it gave you a question to evaluate at the bottom. You could have done it algebraically, but while you had the table open, I probably would have just scrolled to the table and gone to, again, that number in the parentheses is always your x value. So you're trying to figure out when x is this, what's the y? That's a point. So I wrote it as an ordered pair. That's a point right there too. Okay? Are y'all good on these two? On the flip side, whoops, we were given a graph and we had to write the slope-intercept form. So again, what are the two things that you need to write in slope-intercept form?
Your y-intercept and your slope.
Y-intercept and your slope. It's in the name, people. So that's what I wrote to the side. My y-intercept is quicker to see. So I always write that first. To find the slope, you need another good point, and you got to do your slope formula. That we're continuing to do that slope formula. We're doing it again today. Okay? So find your slope again. First graph is decreasing. Makes sense our slope is negative. Second graph is increasing. Makes sense our slope is positive. Put your equation in the table. Fill out a table. All right? Again, you could have different points here. So as long as you went to y equals, you should be good. And then you had some delta math problems over that. All right? Flip over one more page. We're going to kind of start to do some of these like summary sheets. We may not get to them, like I forgot about it, honestly, last class. But I figured it'd be a good time to kind of get started. So we've got linear equations, all right? So all the equations that we did were in this form. Y equals mx plus b. We focused in that form last class, okay? So what are some, I'm going to kind of do this one with you to show you like what I'm looking for, but eventually I want you guys to be able to fill this out on your own, like with your own words, okay? So we're going to do this little top guide kind of together. Let's get an equation, or a definition, I mean. So when we have y equals mx plus b, what do we have? We have a function, and what are the two things that we know? Okay? With a rate of change, with a constant. We'll use slope. That's going to be faster. Slope. And what else does it have in our slope-intercept form? And a, what's our y-intercept? How do we describe that? Another way to say that. What? Our starting point, a starting value. Very good. And a starting value. So that's what we have. Okay, by definition. So what are some characteristics? What are some things that we know from this? Write this down. Let's go. Y'all have to learn how to do it. You're going to be doing these on your own. So like I'm modeling for you what I'm expecting to see. What characteristics do our linear functions have? Tell me something about that. What do you know about y equals mx plus b? Tell me something that you know.
There's a constant slope.
Constant slope. What is that constant slope? What do we name that? What? M. Very good. Our constant slope is our m. That's important. You got to know the difference. What is m next to? X. Okay. What else do we know?
But the B is like your y-intercept.
The b is your y-intercept. Y-intercept is your b. I should put a colon there so that doesn't look like a negative sign. Constant slope is your m. Your y-intercept is your b. If you're going to graph this, what are your steps? What are the steps? Flip back. Look at your notes. What is step 1? We got to be able to think. I already passed algebra. Y'all got to be able to think on your own. Describing
The
your...
first step that I would say would be you have to write your y and your b because in lower studies which is your y and your b.
Write your m and your b. Very good. Like circle which one is this, which one is this. What are your steps to graph? Step 1. If you're going to graph this, what do? You what? You plot your y-intercept. Plot b. Put that point on the y-axis. That's step 1. What's step 2? How do you get more points?
By finding perfect points.
Well, if you're graphing, so you don't know the perfect point. So how do you get that perfect point? Y'all know how every day when we get a new lesson, there's always steps and vocabulary at the very top?
Connect the continuous line.
Okay, that's step 3. Plot the y-intercept. We got that. Now what do we do? Use our rate of change. That's going to tell us how we move up, how we move over, how we move up, how we move over. And then we connect. So plot B, and let's say use M for other points. And then we would connect. Okay, guys, so the point of this is to get, it's repetition, it's understanding, it's writing in our own words. What are we doing? Y'all have to be able to use your notes and go back and figure this out. So I want you to draw me an example. What is an example of a line in slope-intercept form? Put 2 graphs. You draw 2 examples. And then I want you to draw 2 non-examples. So 2 things that are not linear functions. Get creative. And then I want you to fill out what was the main goal. What did we do? What was that all this about? What are things that will help you? You fill that out on your own. This first question is a star question. Okay, this is one that should be pretty easy to get right on the star, especially if you know how to work with your resources. So they gave you a graph, and then they said, which equation is best represented by this graph? So this is multiple choice. Let's talk some strategies, okay? When I see a multiple choice problem, the first thing I look at are what are things I can eliminate? So one big eliminator is knowing whether you're supposed to have a positive or a negative slope. So what kind of slope should this be? This should be a negative slope. So I'm going to go ahead and write m equals, and I'm going to put a negative sign there. Let's see if that helps us eliminate any answer choices. It doesn't, okay? A lot of times it does. Too bad. It didn't there. All right, so another eliminator would be, all right, what's the y-intercept? So what is our b value? Oh, this is a yucky graph.
7.
Is it at 7? Yeah, it looks like it's at 7. So in my equation, I need to have what in my equation? Y equals something x plus 7. Can I eliminate answer choices here?
A and C.
A, what's the y-intercept at A? 4. And C is also at 4. Okay, so then I'm down to 50-50. And now I got to figure out, is the slope 7 over 4 or 4 over 7? And so that's what I'm going to use those 2 points for. So what are the 2 points that they gave us? What point is this? Is that 4, 0?
4, 0.
Yeah.
Looks like 8, -7.
8, -7. Thank you. Sorry, that graph is not pretty. Didn't copy very well. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. If you slope formula this, we get negative 7 minus 0 over 8 minus 4. And that reduces to negative 7 over 4. Yeah, so my answer is B. Okay? And then you can also confirm it by putting your answer, the answer you get in y equals and checking the table, looking at the graph, all that stuff. Okay? So it's not anything crazy. It's the same stuff that we've been doing. And again, you got some answer choices to help you with that. Okay, these were a little bit tricky. These are some special lines here. So it says graph x equals negative 2. What's different about this equation right here?
You know, like the x value.
You only know the x value. There's no y in this equation. We've been harping y equals mx plus b, and this guy totally doesn't have it. So that's the first indicator that something weird is going to be going on here. If it's x equals, it's not going to be a function, okay? So I need to go to what x is equal to. So it's going to cross the x-axis where? What's x equal to? So I'm going to go to negative 2 on the x. 1, 2. And then I don't know anything else about this other than that's where all my x values are. So every single y value is going to have that same x value. So what kind of line am I going to have? Vertical line. What kind of slope do I have? Undefined. What axis did I cross?
X,
And what was my equation?
Y, or X equals.
Do you remember writing this down a while ago? Was my little hint there. If your equation is x equals a number, it's going to cross the x-axis. It's going to have an undefined slope, and it's going to be what kind of line? Vertical. I feel like on the STAR test, they usually put, like, they'll give you the equation and they'll tell you that the slope is undefined. I feel like they kind of give you a little bit more than just one of them. But we got to know that x equals, that's something weird, okay? Everything's normally a y equals. This is going to be an x equals. It's going to be a vertical line and all those characteristics, okay? So what about this one? What kind of line is this on this graph?
It's 0.
It's what? Horizontal. What do we remember about horizontal lines?
They cross the y.
They have a 0 slope. They cross the, and what is their equation? Y equals not 0. Where does this graph cross the y? 4. So my equation is y equals 4. If you put this, is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. This is a little bit more simplified, but if you put 0x plus 4, absolutely that's okay. But what's 0 times anything? 0. So technically that doesn't have to be there. But if it's just straight horizontal, and that might help you. Here's another thing to kind of help between the two. Can you type y equals 4 in your calculator?
Yeah.
Can you type that? Yeah, you can. Because there's a y equals button. So if you want to confirm, you can put y equals and you can see that it's this way. So another thing I tell people is like, if I wanted to graph x equals 2, I don't have an x equals button, right? Or negative 2 up here. I don't have that. But I could type the opposite and kind of see what's going on and be like, okay, well, my graph's got to be opposite. So if you type y equals negative 2, it'd be this way. So x equals, it's got to be that way. So those are kind of our special lines. And they're tricky, but I think remembering Hoyt and Vux will really help you. And we definitely will review that before start. Okay? All right, we're going to switch gears for a minute. We're just going to see how many inequalities we can get to today. Good news, we're still doing the same. Plot the y-intercept, use your slope, yada, yada, yada. There's only slight difference in inequalities. Okay, so let's talk about what does an inequality mean? Y'all know what that means? I'll give you a hint. If you flip over, you're going to see a definition for it.
What it says up there.
What it says up there. Okay, an inequality is when we have a linear function where each side is, it's not an equation, so we're not going to be equal to each other. Inequalities are not equal to each other. So there's kind of 4 options that you can have here. What I'm about to highlight, these are inequalities. We no longer call those alligators. They are not alligators, they are inequalities. Okay, so let's just write the one in words what they are, because we got to know these. So this first one, what is that sign called?
Less than.
That's a less than. What does less than start with? L. Okay, here's how you can remember it. Make it L. Make it L. Make it L, everyone. L. Turn it sideways. That's your less than sign. Sideways L. Okay, so if you're confused, just make your L for less, turn it sideways, see if it looks that way.
And what hand are you using? Your
Left.
left,
Left hand.
Left hand, less than,
Okay,
and what?
next sign, what is that? That's a greater than.
Opposite of less than.
Mm-hmm. What about the next guy?
Less than.
Less than or equal to. Less than. What was different?
It's also equal
It has that little line underneath. Okay? Close screens. Close your screens. Okay? Less than or equal to. And then the other sign is greater than or equal to. So it's really, really important. Greater than or equal to. It's really important that we know what symbol that we have. Okay? So here's what's a little bit different about these guys. So we spent all of our time last class doing y equals mx plus b. And we had points and we had lines, and that was all that we have. With inequalities, you've got a little bit more to consider. Depending on the sign, you can have a solid or a dashed line, and we'll talk about the difference between those. And then you also have to do shading, because with inequalities, there's not just one solution point. There's more. So just for example, let me just show you. You don't have to write this down, but let's just talk about this statement versus this statement. Okay? X equals 5. Let's talk about that. What is the only thing that X could be to make that true? X equals 5. What would make that true? What does X have to be?
1. Oh, wait.
5.
5. Because what is 5 equal to?
X.
Yes, 5 is equal to 5. X equals 5. 5 is the only number that works. Okay? Only number that makes that true. What about X is greater than 5?
Any number bigger than
Any number.
Yeah.
Give me some.
Bigger.
6,
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's why when we graphed these, which we solved inequalities feels like a lifetime ago, but when we would take an inequality, we would put it on the number line and we would represent, oh, it's all these guys. All the numbers bigger than 5. So there's not just one answer. With an equation, there's like those points on the line and that's it. With inequalities, we have to represent all the ones that are bigger or all the ones that are less than. So we're going to be doing some shading, okay? And that's what we're going to kind of talk about on this column here. So there's some key features, and this column is going to be everything. You're going to want to have this out on your paper every time you graph these. So make sure you're filling this in correctly, okay? Here we go. The first thing that we want to talk about is what type of line are we going to draw. So there's going to be sometimes that we draw solid lines through all of our points, and there's going to be sometimes that we just draw dashes, okay? Y'all remember the difference between a number line that had an open circle and a closed circle?
Yep.
What's the difference?
One was equal to and one was normal.
One was equal to and one was not, okay? And so when we were not equal to, we did not take the extra ink to color in the circle, but when we were equal to, we did, okay? So as far as doing that on our lines, when we are not equal to, so these first two guys, we're not going to take ink and draw the whole line. We're just going to draw a dashed line. So in my first two, and the difference maker with that is that we're not equal to. There is no line underneath. We don't draw a solid line on our graph. No line, dash line. But then the next two symbols, they do have that solid line. So what kind of lines are we going to draw?
Solid.
Solid lines. Okay, so fill that out. And then I just want to show you an example. Don't flip. You stay on this page. But let me just show you what I mean by, what kind of line is this?
Solid.
Solid. What kind of line is this?
That.
dashed, okay? So some people say dotted too. So that's the difference maker there is it equal to or is it not? And that is important when you're looking at is it a solution or not. On a solid line, all those points, they are equal to. They are solutions. And dashed line, they're not. So that's kind of the quick one. That one's not as bad. There's either a line or there's not, okay? Now, the shade is where it does get a little bit tricky. Okay, so if we were to, so I want you to just kind of fill this out, and then I'm going to show you what I mean when we see some examples. If we have values that are less than, okay, that means your solutions are all going to be points that are below the line, because less than means we're going less than, below. So when we shade this graph, we're going to shade below. Below the line, and you'll see it. What's in the middle of the word below? Below. A big what?
Oh,
L. Less than starts with a L. Sign looks like a sideways L. Okay, I might make these capital with that. Okay, this looks like a sideways L. So the other one that we would shade below is our other version of less than, which is less than or equal to. So this guy, we also shade B-E capital L below. So we want all the values that would be smaller than, below that line. So if we have greater thans, where do you think we shade?
Above.
Above. Same thing with greater than or equal to. So you got to go shade above, shade above. That's where those values are greater, so that's why you shade above. Okay? Make sure you have this filled in. This is going to help you get these right. There's not much new. This is the only thing that's new. As far as graphing these, it's the same thing as we did with equations. You plot the y-intercept, you use your change in y, change in x. But you've got to decide based on that symbol, solid or dashed, where's the shape. That's the only thing that is different, okay? So let's actually write in our steps, and then we're going to do a couple of examples. First thing is, we have to make sure that we are in slope-intercept form. Again, today, we will be. That's going to be something that we build on later. Now, it is going to be a slightly different. Remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Today, our slope-intercept form is going to be y, and I'm going to put a box because it can be any one of these. It'll be one of those symbols. But it's still going to have y all by itself. And then you're just going to have one of these symbols in here. One of those guys. All right? So it'll be y greater than, y less than or equal to. But it's still got y all by itself on the left-hand side. So we have to be there first. We're going to be there first today. We're not going to change that till next class. Then, just like with a line, what do we always plot first? Where we be starting? The y-intercept. That is not new. That's the same thing. Your b value, plot that. And then you're going to use your slope and follow that, and we're going to try to get 2 more points. So use that change in y over change in x. Now here's where it gets different. You're either going to connect your points with, we got 2 options. What types of lines could we have? Dashed or solid, so we have to decide before we get our rulers. And we're just going to look at the symbol. And then we have to shade above or below. So it's really just these next 2 steps, okay? And I always kind of like write my notes to the side so that I know what I'm doing there. Everybody have this filled out? This is going to be your best friend when you're working on your practice problems right here, okay? All right, the following line has been graphed. So they put f of x equals 2x plus 4 on our paper for us. Okay, they already did that. So what if we changed to this guy? What changed? The sign changed. What sign is this? Greater than or equal to. So do you see how these look? Write that down. Greater than or equal to. Do you see how these are pretty similar to the equations that we did last time? We're just going to have a different symbol in there. Okay? So we have to know what that symbol means. Greater than or equal to. Go to your chart. Find the greater than or equal to. What type of line are we going to draw if we have a greater than or equal to? Solid. Okay, so I'm going to write that. Solid line. What type of shade are we going to have for our symbol or for our inequality here? If it's a greater than or equal to, we're going to shade where? Above. So shade above. And I kind of drew all over, or wrote all over where I'm going to shade. But do I have a solid line here?
Yeah.
Check. But now I got to do the shading. So here's where I'm going to do my shading. I'm going to go to my y-intercept. Put your pencil on your y-intercept. What is it? 4. I want you to go above that point. So you go up or down? Up. Draw an arrow. That is above the line. So now I want you to shade above that line. Like we're coloring today. This is above. But I always go to that y-intercept and then I go up or down from the y-intercept to show me where's above and where's below. So in an equation, there's only the points on the line that are solutions. And in an inequality, there's lots of points that are solutions. Where do you think our solutions are? You think they're in the shade or out of the shade?
In the shade.
They're in the shade. That's why we did it. That's why we shaded. So what are 3 possible solutions? So let's put a note. We got to find points in the shade. Okay, Muhammad, give me a point in the shade. 0, 4. Okay, 0, 4 is a solution, but let's talk about that. 0, 4 is on a line. Now, you have to be careful with points on a line. Only points on a solid line count as solutions. So the fact that this guy is solid means 0, 4 is a solution. Okay, so but the difference is if it was dashed, then it would be a no. But it's a yes here because the line is what kind of line? Solid. Okay, all right, what's another one? Give me a point in the solution set. Not on the line. Give me another one. 2, 8. 2, 8 is on the line, so it is a solution. That works. Can we pick a point that's not on the line? Miles, give me one.
2, -6.
2, -6. Is that in the shade? Did you see?
Yes.
2, -6. Is that in the shade? Y'all see where my shade is? Where the pink is. So is this a solution point? No.
Has to be in the shade.
Has to be in the
Gotta be in
shade.
shaded area.
Okay, can I go again?
Go again.
Alright. 6.
Positive 6.
Negative 6, 6.
Negative 6. Positive 6. Is this in the shade?
Yes. So that works.
Let's do one more. Just to make sure we're real good. Emma, you got one?
I got one.
You want to pass to Braden? Braden.
-10. 10.
Negative 10. 10. All right, so that's the big thing is there's going to be a lot of points. They can be potentially on a line, but only if it's solid. And then they got to be in the shaded region. Okay, so you got to be able to check and see there. But anything that's not in the shaded region, that's going to be a no.
And if they ask you for those points like they did on this problem, I probably wouldn't pick points on the line, just in case I forgot, hey, it's a dash line. Or you know, I would just go ahead and try to pick negative 10, 10, and
Yeah.
negative 6, 6, because I know those are in the shaded area.
Anything over here, that's going to be a no. Okay? All right, so let's try one all together. Nothing's on this graph, so here we go. Again, we got to look at the symbol. Solve and graph the inequality. G of x, what symbol is this? Greater than or equal to. Negative 1/4 x plus 6. Is this in slope-intercept form? Is y by itself? What is g of x the same thing as? Y. If you want to write over that, that's okay. All right, so let's talk about what we know. It's a greater than or equal to. So go up to your chart, and I want you to write what type of line, solid or dashed, and what type of shade. Go to your chart. Look at your symbol. You have to know what symbol it is. It's a greater than or equal to. So is it going to be solid or dashed?
Solid.
That's kind of the easy one. Because if there's a line, it's going to be a solid line. If there's not, it's not. Are we going to shade above or are we going to shade below? Why is it going to be above? Because it's greater. So those are like two things that I would immediately write down. The other two things I'm going to write down are what we reviewed last class. What's my M? What's my B? So look at this inequality, and that honestly, it's the same thing as it was last class, even though we have this going on. What's your M? How'd you know? Because it's next to X. What's your B?
6.
Positive 6. Okay, so we're going to graph it. Here we go. Where do we start? Where we be starting? Positive 6. All the way up here. Woo! All the way up there. Now, from there, we are going to follow our slope. Change in Y is down 1. So I'm going to go down 1. What's my change in X? Right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wait, isn't there a negative?
It is. That's why I went down 1.
Oh.
So then from here, again, I can go down 1, right, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's okay. Do the best you can. Sometimes they hop off the graph. That's okay. So getting those points does not change from what we did last time. But now we're going to take a ruler. And what kind of line? How are we going to connect these? Solid line or dashed line? Solid. So connect these with a solid line. Still give it arrows. So are those points on the line, are those going to be solutions because it's solid? Solid are solutions. Solid are solutions. Okay, but we're not done because what do we have to do now? We have to color. And which way are we going to color? Above. So go to your y-intercept. Which way is above? There's not going to be that much coloring here. Which way is above? From the y-intercept. You're going to go up or down? Up. So we're just going to color. We'll just do this little piece right here. Probably should have made that a less than.
And even though, like, there's really no graph, right? Like, it's hard to see the graph above, but it goes on forever up there, right? So, 418 is a solution.
Let's write that. 418.
Oh, I'm writing it, yeah.
418 is going to be a solution. What's another one?
520, basically.
520. Let's pick one that actually does fit on our grid. What about 3, 6?
3-6?
3, 6. Did you put it on your picture? 3, 6 is yes. Okay. Now I give you some points. Is 2, 4 in the solution set? 2, 4. Is that in the solution set?
No.
Why?
Because it's not shaded.
No. Not in shade. What about -3, -2? -3, -2.
No.
Why not?
It's not in the shade.
Not in the shade. Go ahead.
Not in the shade.
Not in the shade.
Does anybody have any questions on how to graph this? Everybody would feel pretty good about graphing the line? Okay, if you don't, ask. I'll come by and help.
And this is kind of like, again, it's similar to what we did last class. We just got a little bit more with the shade, but it's still reinforcing these. Plot your y-intercept, plot your slope. Okay, let's try one together. But go to the next page, and I want you to fill in these steps on your own. 1, 2, 3, go. Very good. Okay, so they asked you for the M and the B, which is great. So let's go ahead and do that. What's our M? -3/4. What's our B? 2. But I'm going to write some extra information based off of this guy. Because it's not just a line, it's an inequality. It's not an equal to, it's a what? What symbol is this? Less than or equal to, sideways L. So how are we, what type of line are we going to draw? Solid or dashed?
No, solid.
Solid, because there's a line. The line tells you if it's solid or dashed. But what type of shade? Less than.
Below.
Below. B-E capital L. We're going to shade below this time. Okay? So I'm going to kind of work on this one, but then I want you to try the other one too. If you're going quick. So think about where you start. The same steps as last time. Where do we start? 2 on the y-axis. And then our change in y is -3. So from here, how many are you going to go down?
3,
1, 2, 3. How many are we going to go right?
4.
4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't think we're going to fit any more points on that. Well, I guess we could go up 3, left 4. And then we're going to draw a solid line. We're going to give it arrows. Doo-doo-doo. But this time we're shading below. So we're going to go to our y-intercept. Which way is our arrow going to go? Which way's below?
Nice.
Down. So there's where our shading's going to be. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And then you're going to answer some questions. Tell me if something is a solution. Okay? So y'all see how it's not that much different than last time. Just got a little bit to decipher. Is -1, +2 a solution?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's in the shade.
Because it's in the shade. Is 0 to a solution?
Yes.
Why?
It's in the shade.
Well, 0 2 is not. Well, it's on the.
It's on the line.
It's on what kind of line?
It's
A solid line.
On a solid. Underline that.
This number tells us.
On a solid line. That's important. Because if it's a dashed line, if that line was dashed, would 0 2 be a solution?
No.
No. Okay? All right. Try this one. What's big about these guys is you can't forget to do like the correct line type and you have to have shade with these. Okay, we have to. So for graphing this, we're gonna start at our y-intercept. Our slope is positive. Remember, I wrote that as 5/1. So we're gonna go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, can't fit that there. Here's how you do a dash line. You can still use your ruler. You got to be careful with this. Instead of drawing all the way through the ruler, I'm just going to kind of pick up my pen every little bit, and I'm going to draw just like dashes through there. I still want to give it arrows, but you do have to be careful with that. Make sure you're doing dashed, okay? And then where's my shade? Above. So go to your y-intercept. Above means you go up or down? Up. So your shade is here. Okay, I'll make y'all a deal. If y'all let me get through
You gotta make sure it's a dash.
2 writing, I won't make you do Delta Math today. We'll just catch up on Thursday. Deal? Deal. If I can get through 2 more problems, we'll catch up on Delta Math Thursday. Okay? All right, let's answer these 2 real quick. Is 0, 3 a solution? 0, 3.
Yes.
What's it in?
It's in the shade.
It's in the shade. What about 0, -3? Hold on.
No.
What type of line is it?
It's a dash line, so no.
No, so it's on.
It's a no.
If it's on a dashed line, it's tricky. It's
It's not
tricky.
equal to it, right? It's just less than or it's just greater than.
That's having like 5 is greater than 5. That's not true. 5 is greater than equal to 5. That is true. Okay? All right, 2 more problems and then we're going to have no Delta Math because can I have 2 more problems and then you're going to listen to this one. Listen to this one. All right. These are the writing problems. They're just like writing equations. However, your inequality is not going to be y equals. You're going to have to figure out what symbol goes in the middle. That'd probably be the first thing that I do. So we're going to do kind of the whole process we just did. We're going to do it backwards. We need to find the slope. We need to find the y-intercept. But first we got to figure out what line type we're going to have. So what type of line is this? Solid or dash? This guy. Solid. Yeah, there's shade. Do y'all see the shade? Oh, it's a little bit darker right here. Go ahead and draw over that shade so you can make sure you know where it is. Where is that shade? Is it above or below the line? Below. You went down from there. So what does that tell you? What symbol are we going to use if it's a solid line shaded below? Less than or equal to. That's the only thing that's different. Now, what do you need to write in a line in slope-intercept form? You need the M and you need the B.
Same thing we've did it for the last multiple classes.
Yep. B's quick. What's your B? 1. Now you got to find your slope. So you need another point. And then you're going to slope it. What'd you use, Miles? -2. There you go. That works. And then you got to find the slope. All right, we'll be done after this problem. Two minus 1. What kind of slope should you get? Because that line is going down. And then you get to choose an ordered pair that is in the solution set and one that is not. You write your own. And we will stop there. Miles, you can go back.
Oh, I already started the other one.
Well, good.